everyone, today I'm going to be talking about the 24 books that I want to read in 2024. These are going to be books that I've had on my TBR either for a very long time, books that I own that I want to get to in 2024, or new releases coming out in the next year. We're just going to get into it because I don't want to have this to be too long of a video since I'm kind of just sitting here and talking about books that I don't really know anything about. So I did categorize this. I have a fantasy and sci-fi section, a romance and a fiction section, and then a nonfiction / memoir. A lot of these are standalones, but some of them are part of a series. But if it's like a trilogy, I'm not going to count that as 3 books towards the 24. It's just going to be 1. We will start with our fantasy and sci-fi reads. I am going to start with the books that I have on my physical TBR. 3 out of the 4 of them are fantasy. First up, I have Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This is a book that I have had my eye on pretty much since it was released. I don't even know. Okay, when did she release this actually? I'm pretty sure it was the beginning of 2023, but I remember I saw like one person post about this somewhere and they were hyping it up. They probably got like an arc of it or whatever and then were posting about it. But right after this was recently published, I did have it in my Amazon cart and I never bought it. But I did buy it within the last few months. And I actually did want to read this in November, but I never got to it. So this is just a fantasy. I'm pretty sure it's a little bit of enemies to lovers. We have our main character Peyton and then our love interest is Kai. It says the elites have possessed powers for decades, gifted to them by the plague, while those born ordinary are just that, banished from the kingdom of Ilya and shunned from society. Peyton is an ordinary. She's pretending to have powers, and then she actually saves one of Ilya's princes, which is Kai, and then she's thrown into these trials. So a lot of people do compare this to the Hunger Games too because it has that trial standpoint to it, and I love that in a fantasy book. It's very interesting. So I am really excited to get into this and I don't want to push it off too much longer, so I want to hopefully read this in January even. Next up, I have Heavenly Bodies. This is also a book that I saw a little bit of it. I obviously am intrigued by it because I like the cover a lot. I had my eye on this book, and then Rachel from Raven Haired Reader, she's one of the booktubers that I look to for recommendations mostly. She read this book and absolutely loved it, so it made me want to read it even more. After I watched her video, I did end up purchasing this, and I am hoping to get into this at the beginning of the year too. So this is, in a world ruled by the stars, cruel and merciless gods that watch over the world, Alara has been cursed by fate. A prophecy that promises she will fall for a star and it will kill them both. But when one descends to wreak havoc on Alara's kingdom, she is forced to flee into the arms of her enemy in the neighboring country. As she learns more about her own magic and the depth of the star's deceit, she finds herself also learning more about the country she takes refuge in and the enemy prince forced to train her into a weapon. And then it says something dark brews within her, a power made of night and shadows that begs to be broken free. This is quite the chunky book. I know there is a second one out, not sure if there's going to be any more. And then lastly, for my physical TBR for fantasy, this actually, I found it in the romance section in Barnes, but I feel like it just has more fantasy elements to it. Like, it has to be classified as a fantasy to me, and that is The Zodiac Academy. This book and this series, I don't remember when I bought this, probably over the summer. But I've heard so many mixed things about it, and I think that's why I've pushed it off for quite a while. Also because it's like a 9-book series. A lot of people say this is a bully romance too. I don't think I've read anything like that, but I don't think I would like that. I'm really intrigued by the concept of this book. A lot of the books are like different zodiac signs. I believe this one's Gemini, and I thought there was going to be 12 books and it was going to be, each book was going to be like a different zodiac and it was going to have something to do with that. Honestly don't know. Our main character is a Gemini. What in the world, dude? So our main character is a Gemini and a twin, heir to a throne I know nothing about, and it turns out I'm Fae. But there's a catch. All I have to do to claim my birthright is prove that I'm the most powerful supernatural in the whole of Solaria. And it says she's the daughter of the Savage King. But the bit they didn't put in the brochure was that every single Fae in this kingdom would claim my throne if they could. And then it says something about a dragon shifter who has his eyes on her throne. He and his 3 psycho friends are determined to make my time here hell. All I've got to do is survive, but fate might have other ideas. I think that's where the bully romance probably comes in, is because these boys want the throne, but it's technically her throne. So I can see where the bullying would come in. That kind of comes off as enemies to lovers to me, depending on how they treat her, I guess. I do really want to read this book and I'm hoping I like it. A lot of people do, a lot of people don't. I gotta read it to find out. I can't say much now. That's the point of reading. Now getting into the books that I don't have yet. This is gonna be quite a bit. The first I have on this list is the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. I've never read a Brandon Sanderson book, and I would really like this trilogy to be the first entry into Brandon Sanderson for me. This is actually, I've had this on my Goodreads TBR shelf since 2015. So it is a series that I have been wanting to read for a while. There's also a few other books by him that I'm interested in. For some reason, I just feel like I need to read the Mistborn trilogy first, and I don't really know much about it, which is crazy that I have it on my TBR, but it's been on there for so long. I really just want to make it something I read in 2024. Next, I do have Crescent City. A lot of people say you need to read Throne of Glass and ACOTAR before you read Crescent City. The plots are completely different in each of the series. I did end up DNFing Throne of Glass in book 5. I just read A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I did enjoy it, so I will continue on with that series. Hopefully I will make it through the whole series and like it the whole way through. I will say that Crescent City is the one that I'm most interested in plot-wise. It is a modern day fantasy, and it's like demon hunting. It reminds me of The Mortal Instruments, and that's literally one of my all-time favorite series, and if it's anything like that, I think that I will really like it. I know the books are crazy long, so I do want to finish the ACOTAR series before I get into Crescent City, but it's going to be something that I will probably get to at the end of the year. I really want to try it out and see if it's something that I would like. Next, I have Ready Player 2. I don't remember what year I read Ready Player 1, but I really love that book. It's a sci-fi. It's about this video game creator who created like the world's best video game, and he passed away, but he left behind like this Easter egg thing in his video game. And the game is a crazy virtual reality where you're literally like, you go into the game. You are like physically playing that game pretty much. And it's such a cool concept. All these players are trying to find this like egg, this treasure in the game, and like trying to figure out where it is. As we follow our main character doing that, a whole bunch of stuff goes down, and it's super interesting. But Ready Player 2 is actually taking place after all of this, obviously, but I think there's another treasure or another like quest that the characters go on. And I loved Ready Player 1 so much, so I really want to read Ready Player 2 just to see if I love it as much as I did the first one. And then I have the Shadow and Bone trilogy. This is like a part of the Grishaverse. I don't know if there's more than just the Shadow and Bone trilogy and then Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. I do own Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, and I really want to get to those. The Shadow and Bone trilogy is something that you should read before that just to get introduced to the world. Obviously, I could just go right into Six of Crows, but I am someone who likes to read the books. If there's books prior to that that'll help you get interested in the world, or maybe help you like the books a little more, I'm always up to reading those. I just have Shadow and Bone on here, but basically the whole Grishaverse, which consists of 5 books. And then I have Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. Every time I go into Barnes, I look at this book and I never get it. This is another book that I don't really know what it's about, but the cover just wants me to get it. Like this, I need it. For some reason, I don't know what it is about covers like these. They're so appealing to me, and it just makes me want to read the book even if I have no idea what it is about, which is the situation that we're in. This is a series though. I will look this up just so we have a little info on this. It says the Nevernight Chronicles. There are 3. So Nevernight was published in 2016, so it is a bit of an older book. It says, in a land where 3 suns almost never set, a fledgling killer joins a school of assassins, seeking vengeance against the powers who destroyed her family. Daughter of an executed traitor, Mia is barely able to escape her father's failed rebellion with her life. Alone and friendless, she hides in a city built from the bones of a dead god, hunted by the Senate and her father's former comrades. But her gift for speaking with the shadows leads her to the door of a retired killer and a future she never imagined. Good thing it's something that I am interested in, and I do really like the sound of that plot. I just need to buy the book and read it. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Next, I have Heartless by Marissa Meyer. I have read the Lunar Chronicles, really enjoyed that series, and then I have 1 book left of the Renegades trilogy, and I'm loving that series so far too. I would love to just pick up another Marissa Meyer book and read as many books of hers as I possibly can. I do know that Heartless is based on the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland. I was never big on Alice in Wonderland. I don't even know if I've ever seen the movie. Never read Alice in Wonderland, but it's Marissa Meyer, so that's kind of why this is on this list. And I believe it's a standalone fantasy, which is always super cool, just to read a quick fantasy and not get into a big series. Then next, I do have another trilogy. This is honestly more books than I thought. This next one is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I didn't like that book, but I do want to try more of her books because I think the concepts and the plot lines seem super interesting. I'm hoping that I can like this. This is also another series that has been on my TBR for a while. I own the second book, and I've owned the second book for years now. No idea why I didn't buy the first one. I think maybe I thought it was the first one and I just never actually bought the first one. Yeah, I do have A Gathering of Shadows. I'm looking at it right now. It's been sitting there for a very long time. I would really like to get into A Darker Shade of Magic though, because I know that it is based on a magician and magic, and I love that. It kind of reminds me of The Night Circus, and that's one of my favorite books. So any chance that I can read something similar to one of my favorite books, I'm down for. Next I have Jade City. This is, I believe, maybe like a higher fantasy, another series. Go me. This is also a book that Rachel read, Raven-haired reader, and she liked this, so of course I put it on my TBR. But this one is The Green Bone Saga. It's by Fonda Lee. It says, the Claw family is one of 2 crime syndicates that control the island of Kakan. It's the only place in the world that produces rare magical jade, which grants those with the right training and heritage superhuman abilities. The Greenbone clans of honorable jade-wearing warriors once protected the island from foreign invasion, but nowadays in a bustling post-war metropolis full of fast cars and foreign money, Greenbone families, like the Claws, are primarily involved in commerce, construction, and the everyday upkeep of the districts under their protection. Violence erupts in the streets. The outcome of this clan war will determine the fate of all Greenbones and the future of Kakan itself. Honestly, the plotline to that is something that I'm less interested in than the other ones, but I've heard great things about it, and I've heard that it just gets better as the series goes on. So I'm gonna try it out. It's gonna be one of my reaches for 2024, a book that maybe will be a little bit out of my comfort zone. And then lastly, for the fantasy category, I do have book 3 of the Empyrean series by Rebecca Yarros. It's the 3rd installment after Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. I have no idea when it's coming out. I don't even know if it's coming out in 2024. I assume that it will be. I can't say too much about it. I don't know what it's gonna be about, other than that it's just gonna continue on with the story. But that's all for fantasy. We are going into romance / fiction, literary fiction. I only have like 2 books that are non-romance in this category. A lot of these are books that are coming out in 2024. First, I do have a physical TBR book, and that is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This is another book that I wanted to read in November and I never got to. I know this is just about 2 people who once were decently close or pretty close, and then they don't see each other for a while, and then they come back and they're developing this video game, I think. Which a lot of people say this story isn't about like the development of the video game. It's more about them going through their lives, I believe. So I'm really curious to see how the story goes, because I think I have like an idea of what it's going to be, but I don't think it will be that at all. But I've heard great things about this book. Once again, we're going into books that I don't own or that aren't out yet. So the first book that I don't have is the Boys of Tommen series. I'm really only going to focus on the first one, which is Binding 13. This is like a rugby romance, which I actually just got an email from Bloom, like Bloom Book Publishing, and it said like if you're interested in YA, and I'm like, I don't know, I didn't think that book was a YA. I feel like it's not. So now I'm confused, because I thought that book went like a lot deeper and dealt with a lot of deeper things, and I thought it was like kind of a spicy book maybe. I don't know, just the fact that it was like, hey, if you like YA, read Boys of Tommen. I don't know. All I know is that it's a rugby romance, and a lot of people either really like this one or don't like it. We'll see what side I'm on. They did come out with the new covers now because they're being published by Bloom. I had it in my holiday reading vlog. I saw it and I wanted to get it, but I didn't. I just got holiday books. The book was so floppy, and I want it so bad now just because of how floppy it is. And I do like the new covers. Next, I have Heartbreak House Share. This is a book that I added to my TBR because of Rachel Catherine. It doesn't have a lot of ratings on Goodreads at all. After she read it, I think she had a reading vlog on it, and it sounds really interesting. It's about just kind of navigating your life. I believe this girl recently got broken up with, and she moves into this house, like this house share, and she just has new roommates, and it might be like a little bit of a found family. Rachel says it's good. It's gotta be good. But Rachel did say that it was a book that she is surprised that not a lot of people talk about, or not a lot of people have read. I obviously love when a lot of people like books, or there are popular books that are well loved, but it's nice to find a book that not a lot of people know about and that you just fall in love with. So I'm hoping that'll be the case with this one. And then the next 2 are both by Ali Hazelwood. The first one is Bride. I've said this multiple times. Ali Hazelwood is an audible author for me, but I'm gonna be so 100% honest. Like, always. I'll always be 100% honest. I'm not fond of the plot of Bride. I just am not into like vampire werewolf type thing. Listen, I don't know. I watch Teen Wolf. I like Teen Wolf. I've never read Twilight. I just don't really like vampires, or the concept of vampires. I'm nervous. I'm really, really nervous for this book, but I have to read it because it's Ali Hazelwood. It might be a trip for me. I think it'll be fun. We'll see. We'll see. And then next by her, we have Not in Love. I don't know exactly when this one comes out. This isn't really touched on though. She has a lot of posts about Bride, but not a lot of this book. I think because it comes out after Bride does. But this is like another STEM romance. I think it's a little toned down in the sense of STEM. Once again, Ali Hazelwood, auto-buy. That's why it's on the list. And then next we have Wild Love by Elsie Silver. I am almost done with the Chestnut Spring series. I have one book left. And then I do want to get into the Gold Rush Ranch series, which I could have put on this list, but I did just add Wild Love because it is a new release in 2024. It's the start of a new series. Elsie Silver easily became one of my new favorite authors. I really like the way she writes romance. I've become very picky with my romance reads throughout 2023, but Elsie Silver really was doing it for me in the Chestnut Spring series. So if her other books give me the same feelings that that series is giving me, then I am gonna want to read them. I think she'll be another auto-buy author for me, so I'm really excited for this one. And it is kind of interconnected with her other series, like setting wise, and I think you're gonna get like a cameo of a character that we've read about before. It's only to that extent. It's not like you don't have to read the other series to read this one. Next we have Funny Story by Emily Henry. I'm not the biggest fan of the books that I've read by Emily Henry. I have read the main 4. I think she has books that she's written besides the 4. Nobody really knew about them, I guess. But with the 4 that everybody is talking about recently, I have read them all. I did enjoy Happy Place. That is my favorite book that I've read by her. The other ones were okay. I didn't like People We Meet on Vacation at all. But then Book Lovers and Beach Read, they were alright reads to me. Didn't hate them, didn't love them. I do want to see how Funny Story checks out with me, mostly because I like collecting books too. So the fact that I already have 4 books from her, I would like to pick up another one. I like the cover of this one. It does sound like it's gonna be a chaotic story. This is like her ex's ex or something. Dude, I don't know. I will tell you because I was trying to read this and I was getting confused. We have Daphne, and then she had her fiance Peter, and then Peter was actually in love with his childhood best friend named Petra, and it's set in Michigan too, which I'm from Michigan, so love that. Petra's ex, Miles, is now who Daphne is kind of hanging out with. So they're all interconnected, and they got some history with each other, which is just fit for drama. Love it. So that's why I want to read that one. And then the last one, let me pull it up here. This one is Girl Abroad by Elle Kennedy, the author of the Deal, that hockey romance series. I haven't read that series. I read The Deal a long time ago. I don't know if it was a long time ago, but I did read The Deal and it didn't stick with me at all, and I didn't continue on with the series because I like read it on my phone or something. I just wasn't a huge fan of that. And then she has the what's it called the Avalon Bay series, which is Good Girl Reputation, no, Bad Girl Reputation, no, Good Girl Complex, and then Bad Girl Reputation, and then the Summer Girl was the last one. I haven't read the Summer Girl yet, but I did enjoy Good Girl Complex a lot. But this is about a girl who goes to study abroad in London. She's the daughter of a retired rock star, and then she ends up thinking that she's about to room with a whole bunch of girls, but they end up actually all being guys. But I love the whole studying abroad college aspect of books, and I think it'll be really interesting. And then lastly, for the fiction category, I have Everything I Never Told You. I read Little Fires Everywhere by this author, which I only just realized that this author is the same. I did enjoy Little Fires Everywhere a lot. I think I gave it a 4 stars. It is quite the slower read, very just literary fiction, but I think the message behind it was really good, and I just enjoyed my time reading the story. So I would like to pick up another book by her. It says, Lydia is dead, but they don't know this yet. So begins the exquisite novel about a Chinese-American family living in 1970s small-town Ohio. Lydia is the favorite child of Marilyn and James Lee, and her parents are determined that she will fulfill the dreams they were unable to pursue. But when Lydia's body is when Lydia's body is found in the local lake. That's not funny. I'm just laughing because I messed up. Whatever. The delicate balancing act that has been keeping the Lee family together is destroyed, tumbling them into chaos. I love books about just life if they're done right, because it's like just reading someone else's story, but it's fiction. I just have a soft spot for that. Lastly, I got 3 more books. This is my nonfiction category. These are books that I wanted to read in 2023. I just never went around to purchasing them. I might as well do it in 2024. First up, I have Atomic Habits, which is basically mostly a self-help book, just about getting through life, daily things, daily struggles that you may go through, and kind of just helping you change your mindset and get motivated for things. I know a lot of people have read this book and they talk very highly of it. I just want to pick it up and see what it does to my brain. The next 2 are memoirs. I have Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. This says it's a memoir about growing up, growing older, and learning to navigate friendships, jobs, loss, and love along the ride. Journalist and former Sunday Times columnist Dolly Alderton has seen and tried it all. In her memoir, she vividly recounts falling in love, finding a job, getting drunk, getting dumped, realizing that Ivan from the corner shop might just be the only reliable man in her life, and that absolutely no one can ever compare to her best girlfriends. And then the next one is also a memoir. This is Maybe You Should Talk to Someone, and this is a memoir from a therapist therapist. It says, one day she is a therapist who helps patients in her Los Angeles practice. The next, a crisis causes her world to come crashing down. As she explores the inner chambers of her patients' lives, a self-absorbed Hollywood producer, a young newlywed diagnosed with a terminal illness, a senior citizen threatening to end her life on her birthday if nothing gets better, and a 20-something who can't stop hooking up with the wrong guys, she finds that the questions they are struggling with are the very ones she is now bringing to Wendell. She invites us into her world as both clinician and patient, examining the truths and fictions we tell ourselves and others as we teeter on the tightrope between love and desire, meaning and mortality, guilt and redemption, terror and courage, hope and change. I just think it's gonna be really interesting. Those are my 24. I hope I said 24. I'm very excited for next year. I don't have specific reading goals. I'm just gonna go with the flow and see what books I read, what series I get into, how many books I read. Not stressing about it too much. We're just gonna take it easy. Thank you for watching, and hopefully you got some ideas for books to read in 2024. Let me know what books you are wanting to read next year. I will see you later. Whatever I can never say this right. I will see you in my next video, whatever that may be, and that's all. Let's get crazy in 2024. Why not? I hope you have a good year. I hope you had a good year, and I will see you later.